Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I'm offering this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit and for the soul. It's titled Icarus and Goldilocks, Pride, Getting the Balance Right. And I'm going to begin with a little story for you. On balance. It's on my favourite character, good old Nasruddin. So Mullah Nasruddin took his followers to an exhibition. Many things were going on at this exhibition. At one place, people were staking much money on trying to shoot arrows to reach a certain target. Whoever reached the target would win the prize. Nasruddin gathered his followers around and he said, "Come, I have something to show you. Watch and learn." As he took up a bow and arrow, a great crowd gathered round. They were intrigued by what was going on. They watched in silence. Nasruddin took aim and shot an arrow. It fell well short of the target. At this, the crowd started laughing. And Nasruddin responded. He spoke out, "Stop, don't be foolish." He turned to his followers and he said, "Look, this is what happens when you live with an inferiority complex, when you have no pride in yourself, when you do not believe in yourself. This is how such a person will act. They will never reach the target. They will always fall short of what they are capable of, for their whole heart will never be in whatever they do. They'll never believe they can achieve anything." At this, the crowd fell silent and then began to mutter to themselves, "Yes, there is a lesson in this. There is wisdom here." Nasruddin then picked up another arrow and again he took aim, and this time the arrow flew way ahead, way far beyond the target. Again, the crowd began to laugh at Nasruddin, and he spoke up once more, "Be silent. You don't understand these secrets." Again, he turned to his followers and he said, "Look, this is how a person who thinks themselves to be far superior behaves, who suffers from hubris. They will never reach the target. They are so fast that they will bypass the goal. They will not stop at what they aim at. They'll be way beyond it. They're too confident and think themselves better than anyone else, far superior in every sense, above everyone. They are also unbalanced." Again, the crowd fell silent. And again, then they began to mutter to themselves, "Yes, yes, there is a lesson here." Nasruddin took a third arrow and he tried again. This time the arrow went right into the bullseye, directly there, hit the mark, right in the middle of the target. The crowd gasped in silence and waited for what Nasruddin was going to say. But he said nothing to the crowd. He went to the owner and demanded the prize money, at which the owner said, "Why?" He said, "Well, this is me. This one that hit the target is how I am, how I feel. The first was the arrow of someone who suffers from an inferiority complex, who has no pride, who thinks that they are worthless. The second was the arrow of someone who suffers from a superiority complex, who suffers from hubris and false pride. And this third arrow is Nasruddin's arrow. So please, can I have the prize money?" So some wisdom there from that holiest of holy fools, Nasruddin. Hopefully there's a lesson somewhere in there for you. Now we've just passed the spring equinox, the day when the light and the dark are in balance. It happens twice a year, both in autumn and to mark the beginning of spring. Equinox means equal night. The March equinox is known as the Vernal Equinox, meaning new, and it marks the beginning of spring. In the northern hemisphere, as we tilt toward the sun, the days grow longer and far sunnier. The September equinox is called the autumn equinox, marking the beginning of the autumn season. In the southern hemisphere, of course, these seasons are at opposite ends of the year. The world appears upside down. This time of celestial and seasonal balance is a perfect time actually for us to check out the balance in our own lives. Where are the extremes in our own lives that need balancing out? How do we see ourselves? How do we see each other? Do we have these things in balance? Do we have a balanced view of life? When looking at ourselves, do we have a balanced and honest view of ourselves? How are our humeurs, if you like, our modern day humeurs? In ancient times, the physicians saw 4 bodily fluids that needed to be in balance for a person to be healthy. Well, of course, we don't believe that any longer. It's not. We don't have these coloured liquids, but we can still be out of balance in some ways. We could have modern day kind of humeurs. How is our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health, our spiritual health? Perhaps these are the 4 modern day humeurs, and these four need to be in balance for us to be stable and in balance too as human beings and function in this world. A balanced life is considered a good life. We are told that we need to balance the books in the home and in the community. A balanced diet is vital to healthy living. Power needs to be in balance in the public sphere too. Too much power in any individual or any group is deadly dangerous. We see those horrors throughout human history. We see them now. Balance is vital in performing physical activities. Most athletes are admired for their balance as much as for their strength and their speed. This needs to be in balance too. Balance is seen as vital by virtually all spiritual and philosophical traditions. Extremes in any sense lead to danger, they lead to destruction. Robert Fulghum advises, be aware of wonder, live a balanced life, learn some and think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. The philosopher John Locke wrote, an excellent man like precious metal is in every way invariable. A villain like the beams of a balance is always varying upwards and downwards. It's all over the place, if you like. Aristotle proposed that the key to authentic happiness and not mere momentary satisfaction or pleasure arose from living a life of virtue, and that this could be achieved by the doctrine of the golden mean, by living a life centred on a sort of dampened equilibrium, I think he called it, that virtue lays in avoiding excess. He saw courage as lying somewhere between cowardice and recklessness. Interesting. One of the great Greek myths illustrates actually this principle almost perfectly anyway. Icarus was advised by Daedalus to fly somewhere between the sun and the sea, but Icarus flew too close to the sun and he burnt and perished. Centuries later, didn't Goldilocks reject the porridge that was too hot and the porridge that was too cold for the one that was just right? She chose the one that wasn't neither extreme, that authentic mean, if you like. She followed the virtuous life. And you see that these stories are about that. Now please don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that we never rock the boat and must always live in the middle of everything. Balance is not a static thing. Think about those people, those gymnasts on the beam or the seesaw going up and down. It never stays exactly in the middle. It's very difficult to achieve that static balance. In fact, you can't. Balance is a moving thing. It's important to keep on stirring the porridge, if you like, and to act out of whatever our faith in life is. The faithful life is not a passive life, and living this way is not a passive thing where you just kind of float around like an amoeba somewhere in the middle of everything. The key, of course, is to serve life and to live in harmony with all life. It's important to live humbly and to avoid the danger of hubris that caused Icarus to burn and fall. We are here to fly, of course. We are just not here to fly too close to the sun. We need to see ourselves and life itself as life actually is, to not think too less of ourselves, nor think too high. It's the same with others too. We should not put anybody on a pedestal, nor should we dismiss anyone either. It's completely one thing or the other. We all have something to contribute, to add to life, to make life what it is, to contribute something. The key is to live humbly and honestly and to give what we have, not only for ourselves, but for the good of all. It's vital to live with healthy pride and acknowledge our gifts, whilst also watching out for the dangers of hubris. Icarus would have drowned if he'd not flown at all. There's somewhere in between the sun and the sea, and that's the place where we can fly and fly free. I was out with Molly on Wednesday afternoon. I'd just returned from the congregation Urmston, one of the congregations I serve, having led a conversation in our Common Search for Meaning, Philosophy and Spirituality group, exploring ideas actually around identity and belonging. I was quite tired actually. I've been tired all week really, if I'm honest. Not surprising, as on Tuesday I had been back in Yorkshire, in Gawthorpe, in Yorkshire, back home, conducting the funeral of my cousin Charlton. It was an emotional day, and on Wednesday I was wondering if I could find the energy to put together this service as I sat down to try and put what this devotion is based upon, the service this devotion comes from. As hard as it was, I was struggling. Found it difficult this week. I don't think I've done a bad job. And I think I did a good job on Tuesday holding our Charlton's loved ones through this heartbreaking rite of passage while experiencing the pain myself. I think I led a good conversation. I did, at Urmston, and despite my own grief, I fulfill most, if not all, my commitments at the moment, pretty much anyway, with care and attention. Of course, I've fallen short at times. I feel I've done the best I can anyway. But on Wednesday, I was feeling very, very tired. And one thing I've learnt about myself is that when I am emotionally tired, I have to watch my mood for signs of depression, really, of falling into a depressive state. And on Wednesday, as I was walking around with Molly, I was considering this as I took in the life of the town, as I felt life all around me wash over and through me, how I needed life that day. As Molly and myself returned home, she picked up this huge tree branch, far too big for her. It was kind of her maybe flying too close to the sun. But she decided that she must take this home, and when she's got something in her mouth that she's picked up, she tries to get home as quickly as possible, will ignore every other dog and every person, just head held, and she walked through the town, head held high, strutting her little bottom as it wobbled away, as she went with pride, with a strut in her stride. As many people commented as she passed them how proud she looked, and with this kind of smile on her teeth as she struggled with this huge tree branch that kept bashing into walls. As I looked at her walking home, I thought, this is what healthy pride is. She's got it in buckets. It got me thinking, and I recalled a little while ago being involved in a conversation about pride. It's a word I don't feel comfortable with still. I get a sense of unease when I'm asked if I take pride in my work. The psychologist I saw a while ago, Hannah, she would question me about this a lot, really. There's something in me that does not like to acknowledge a sense of pride. And it's not right. It's me flying too close to the water. I need to fly higher in this area. And there's a good reason for it, of course. I have seen the destructive nature of the negative aspects of pride all my life. How it can stop people making the first move in bringing healing. I've seen that recently. How it stops folk admitting when they're wrong and putting things right. Unhealthy pride at its most dangerous hubris is deeply, deeply destructive. Most of the troubles of the world are caused by it. This sense that we're somehow superior, above others, better than them. We're better than them. That idea is... So that's one of the reasons I struggle with the sense of pride. It's not the only reason though. But hubris is such a dangerous, destructive thing. And the ancient Greeks coined the phrase as a word for the overstretching ourselves. It translates as arrogance or overwhelming pride. This is the archer who overshoots the mark in the Nasruddin story. The ancient Greeks saw hubris as the very root of human tragedy. Their tragic dramas played out at their religious festivals centred on human beings, often rulers of human beings who had forgotten the limits of their humanity. In these tragedies, the audiences were reminded of the dangers of acting like immortals, of humans acting like gods. The stories taught the value of us knowing ourselves as we truly really are, to truly know ourselves as human. And the most important thing is to know that we're mortal, actually, that life is a finite thing and precious too. And human beings still need to learn these lessons today. Look at our leaders, the leaders of the world, how the damage that's done. The financiers, the media moguls, even the celebrities who we put on pedestals in awe, in the same way the ancient Greeks looked at their gods. We need to take heed of their stories. For the empires always fall like Jericho, or they burn like Rome, or they're brought to a standstill by nature, or what recently a global pandemic, or being caught out for their lies and their destructive activities. In the end, Rome always burns. No one's above anybody or anything. No one is better than anybody. But neither is someone less than, for that's just as dangerous too. Hubris is a deadly thing. The ancient Greeks were correct to warn of its dangers, something that our leaders perhaps today need to pay better and closer attention to. But there is an important place for healthy pride. Too many of us, including myself at times, feel that we're not good enough, that our arrows can never reach the mark. Healthy pride is vital to building a sense that you're okay and that you're acceptable exactly as you are in this moment. You see, things such as gay pride's a great example of how vital a role that's played in overcoming this sense of shame that people can feel about their humanity, or that others can put on people for their humanity, that somehow there's something wrong in them. Too often in life, folk have been rejected for their very humanity. It still goes on, sadly. See it all the time today, still going on. Certain sections of society who some see as unacceptable, who are victimised. And it's wrong. Such people's sense of pride needs to be lifted, I think, to a healthy level, something that we're all responsible for doing. At least we need to stop victimising others, those that we see as different in some way or less than. It's just wrong. It needs to stop. There are some people who are still not invited to take aim at the target, and it's vitally important to recognise and accept this. There needs to be a healthy balance in pride. Just like Nasruddin's archery tale, the stories of both Goldilocks and Icarus can be seen as allegories for getting the balance right, allegories about pride. Whilst Icarus burnt because he flew too close to the sun, he would have drowned also if he'd not flown at all. There is a healthy balance to pride, and it is absolutely vital to human flourishing to get this balance right. It's the same as Goldilocks and the Three Bears story. One bowl of porridge was too cold, another too hot, whilst another was just right. Isn't this just another way of saying that we need to fly above the sea but not too close to the sun? Or like Nasruddin, warning of the dangers of aiming too high and going beyond the target, and aiming too low and not reaching the target, thinking you can never reach the target. There is a vital need to find healthy balance in pride in life. So true in this sense of pride. Something I'm still learning to accept, by the way. Still finding it uncomfortable at times. To feel proud about my work, even though when I know I've done a good job, not a perfect job, I've got things wrong. I've got things wrong this week. It's on my heart today, in fact. Never can do a perfect job. That said, too often I can be overly aware of my shortcomings, too aware sometimes, an overemphasis on these things, and it can be crippling. We are all work in progress. We all must find ways to get the balance right, but this is not a static thing. It's forever moving. I see clearly that some of our contemporary Hubris can still be out of balance. Not the four liquids that the ancients spoke of, but it's kind of a modern day take on that, if you like. I can see it in relationships, actually, our relationships with life out there. That needs to be in healthy balance too, as well as our inner life. Sometimes that can be out of kilter. Sometimes each feeds into the other. It's vital to find a healthy balance in our pride in order to find harmony in our relationships with life, our relationships with each other, our relationships with ourselves, and our relationships with our God, however we understand God. These could be seen, I guess, as a four things that need to be in balance, modern day Hubris, if you like. If we get these in balance, we can contribute fully to life. We can live to our potential, and we can truly know the joy of living. And isn't this what life is built upon, our relationships? I suspect above everything that's the key to flourishing, to ensure that our lives are in balance in these four aspects of our lives, that our relational Hubris are in balance too. So how are your relational Hubris? Are they unbalanced or are they imbalanced? How is your relationship with life? How is your relationship with other people? How is your relationship with yourself? And how is your relationship with your God, however you understand God? These need to be in balance in order to experience healthy pride and to live fully alive. Perhaps this is something to check out. In this season of balance, how are you in relation to your inner life, your inner self, the people you share your life with life itself, this world, and your God, however you understand God? Maybe that's something to reflect on in the coming weeks as we enter this springtime. How are your arrows? Are they close to the mark? Is your porridge edible? Are you drowning or flying too close to the sun? Because you know what? We can all fly free, be all that we were born to be. It's what we're here for, you know. Let's encourage one another. I'm going to end this devotion with a short blessing. A blessing by John O'Donoghue for equilibrium. You know, we need to bless more, and we can all bless. We bless when we give ourselves wholeheartedly to life. So, for equilibrium, a blessing by John O'Donoghue. Like the joy of the sea coming home to shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the wind loves to call things to dance, may your gravity be lighted by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so free may you be about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what's said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all it names. May your prayers of listening deepen enough to hear in the depths the laughter of God. Amen. And may the blessings of God be with us all, and may we carry these blessings with us in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Go in love, go in peace. Amen.